Have you ever found yourself just scrolling? You're not looking for anything in particular, but you can't seem to stop. We've all been there. So today, we're diving into what actually happens when you just put the phone down. For 30 whole days, the results might seriously surprise you.
I mean, this quote right here just hits home, doesn't it? It's from a user on the Reddit community r/nosurf, and it perfectly captures that feeling. It's late, the blue light is hitting your face, and you have this sudden realization that hours have just vanished. You've become a digital zombie, and that feeling is often the wake-up call.
So what's the real cost of all that lost time? Well, on average, people spend about 2.5 hours a day scrolling. Now you might think, okay, that's not that bad, but let's do the math. Over the next decade, that adds up to nearly 4 full years of your life. Not sleeping, not with family, not doing hobbies, just scrolling. 4 years.
Okay, let's really break down this habit. We all tell ourselves, oh, it's just a quick look. But the price we pay is way higher than we think. It's not just about the hours we lose. It's about what gets stolen from us in the process. Our focus, our happiness, and just our ability to be present in our own lives.
And you know that 2.5-hour average? For a lot of us, that's being generous. The reality can be so much more intense. For people who feel truly hooked, it's not uncommon to hit 8 or more hours a day. Think about that. That's a full-time job, except your only paycheck is feeling completely drained.
So why is it so ridiculously hard to just look away? Well, it turns out this isn't some simple failure of willpower. Our own brains are actually working against us here. So we've got to look at the science of why we're basically wired to keep scrolling.
Have you ever noticed this? You can fly past a dozen happy, positive posts, but the one headline about a disaster or some new crisis, that's the one that makes you stop. There's a really powerful, really ancient reason for that.
And here it is. It's called the negativity bias. Basically, it's a leftover survival instinct. Back in the day, our ancestors had to be on high alert for threats. You know, that rustle in the bushes could be a predator. But now, social media algorithms have figured out how to hijack that ancient wiring, feeding us a never-ending stream of digital threats that our brains just can't ignore.
And this creates this incredibly addictive cycle. You see something alarming, right? That kicks your brain's fear center into high gear. So, to try and feel in control, you scroll for more information. And every time you find a new tidbit, you get a tiny little hit of dopamine, that reward chemical. And that's the loop. You feel anxious, you scroll, you get a little reward, and you do it all over again.
All of this constant stress and anxiety, it actually has a name now. Headline stress disorder. Now, it's not a formal diagnosis you'd get from a doctor, but it describes something very real. It's that feeling of being totally overwhelmed by the news, and it can cause actual physical symptoms like a racing heart or being unable to sleep. It is not all in your head. It's your body having a very real reaction.
Okay, so we get the problem. We see the science behind it. But what actually happens when you manage to break that cycle? Let's walk through this 30-day journey from the really tough withdrawal phase to discovering some unexpected superpowers.
The first few days, yeah, they're rough. Around day 3, you might even experience phantom notifications, swearing you felt your phone vibrate when it didn't. But then, around the 1-week mark, something starts to shift. That constant itch to check your phone, it starts to fade. Boredom stops feeling like a punishment and actually starts to feel peaceful. By week 2, your focus comes roaring back. And by day 30, a huge change settles in. That constant low-level anxiety that was always buzzing in the background is just gone.
And that whole experience with boredom leads to this incredible insight. We spend so much of our lives running away from being bored, right? We fill every single empty second with something. But what people find is that boredom isn't just empty space, it's creative space. It's the quiet your brain desperately needs to come up with new ideas.
All right, so maybe you're feeling a little inspired, thinking you might want to try this yourself. Well, the good news is you don't have to figure it all out on your own. Let's get into a practical toolkit you can use to start taking back your time and your attention. So, one of the best frameworks actually comes from that same Reddit community. It's 4 simple steps. First, create an anti-vision. Seriously, imagine your life 5 years from now if you change nothing. Get specific. Make it scary. Second, change your environment. Get the phone charger out of your bedroom. Delete the apps that suck you in the most. Third, you have to replace the bad habit with a good one. And last, write down your wins, no matter how small. It helps build that momentum.
Experts also have some really simple, practical advice. Set hard time limits, like 20 minutes in the morning and 20 at night. This gives your brain clear rules. Turn off almost all your notifications. This puts you back in charge of when you look at your phone, not the apps. And create no phone zones, like at the dinner table. It's about consciously curating your feed and your life to serve you, not the algorithm.
So you've put in the work. You've used the tools. What's it really like on the other side? Well, the rewards go way, way beyond just seeing a lower screen time number on your phone's weekly report.
I mean, just look at this transformation. It's night and day. You go from this state of constant, scattered distraction to one of deep, meaningful focus. It's a total shift from feeling like a zombie to actually having ideas again. You stop being just a passive consumer of content and you become an active participant in your own life again.
And these are the real superpowers that people discover. That nonstop anxiety, it just evaporates. Your sleep gets so much better because you're not blasting your eyes with blue light at 2 a.m. Your mind finally gets the quiet it needs for creativity to come back. And that soul-crushing habit of comparing your real life to everyone else's perfect online life, it just fades away. And maybe the weirdest, coolest benefit of all, time itself actually feels like it slows down because you're finally living in it instead of just scrolling through it.
This quote really says it all, doesn't it? The point isn't just about stopping something negative, it's about what you get back. It's an act of reclamation. You're taking back the essential pieces of yourself that the endless scroll has been slowly chipping away.
Now let's be clear. This doesn't mean you have to go live in a cave and become a digital hermit. These tools are powerful. The whole point is to make sure that you are the one using the tool and the tool isn't the one using you.
So, I'll just leave you with this one question to chew on. In a world that is screaming for your attention every single second, when was the last time you actually just let yourself be bored? Because that quiet, maybe even uncomfortable, empty space, that might just be where your next great idea is waiting for you.